I'd like to welcome everyone to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting for Wednesday, March 25th, 2025. I'd like to first introduce my committee staff, Trustee Aide Pohai Ryan and Secretary Summer Soares. All right, at this time, I'd like to ask Pohai to do a roll call of our Board of Trustee members present.
Trustee Ahuna. Trustee Akaka.
Ill.
Trustee Akina.
Aloha mai kako.
Trustee Galuteria is excused. Trustee Kahele.
Present.
Trustee Lindsay.
Present.
Trustee Souza. Vice Chair Wahe'e
Present.
and Chair Alapa.
Present.
Quorum is established.
Right now, at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 11:04 a.m. And also just a friendly reminder to all of our trustees, if you are going to say anything, please turn to remind, because I do the same thing, to remind ourselves to turn on the microphone when we speak so that it's recorded properly on our video recording of this meeting. And also, because at times it could be inaudible if we do not talk into our microphones. As for public testimonies, the following rules apply so that we are all respectful of everyone wanting to participate today. Public testimony should be limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda and will occur prior to any listed items conclusion or the vote. If you begin to address other issues not on today's meeting agenda, BF Chair will call you out of order and direct you to limit your testimony to items listed on the agenda. Testifier mics will be unmuted when it is your turn to testify. If you're not audible, you will be muted and the next testifier will be called. Oral testimony online will be limited to 5 minutes. Your microphone will be automatically muted, and once you have completed your oral testimony, or if your allotted time for testimony expires, and if anything, we could possibly give you maybe 30 seconds left in your testimony to wrap it up. Perhaps that may help as well. But please log off after testifying so that if not, then our staff will just mute you at this time. So we'd like to move on. Pohai, are there any testifiers today?
Not at this time.
All right. I'd like to call upon our CEO, Kapuana Ferreira, Stacey Ferreira, to announce the administrative staff joining us today.
Mahalo, Chair. Good morning, Chair, Vice
Good
Chair,
morning.
and trustees. Joining us today in person and online from the administrative team, we have Chief Financial Officer Ramona Hink, Endowment Director Ryan Lee, Interim Corporation Counsel Everett Ota, Interim Senior Legal Counsel Nichi Ozawa, Interim Information Technology Manager Kevin Chalk, and IT Systems Engineer and Administrator Arlene Aguinaldo. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo, Stacey. At this time, we'd like to move on to item 2 on the agenda for the approval of minutes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the committee minutes of March 5th, 2025.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, can we have a vote? Roll call vote, please, Pohai.
Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Wahe'e
Yes.
and Chair Alapa.
Yes.
Motion passes. Minutes approved.
Okay, moving on to item 3 for unfinished business. There is none on the agenda, so we'll move on to item 4 for new business. Pohai, are there any testifiers for this item today?
Not for the first item.
Okay, mahalo. At this time, as we move on to our new business, as the presentation will be done by an independent party, third party auditors called N&K CPAs regarding the annual draft audited financial statements of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs report and the Single Audit Report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024, conducted in accordance with government audit standards and uniform guidance, and opinion that financial statements are presented fairly. I'd like to call upon Ramona Hink, our CFO, to introduce our speakers for item A.
Good morning, Chair
Good
Alapa,
morning.
Vice Chair Waihei, trustees, colleagues. Beside me is Charles Gooden, Principal at N&K, and Taylor Maury, Senior Manager at N&K. Wayne Tamita and Sylvie Chen are not online, unfortunately, but they are consultants with RGP and both have been working with me in a controller capacity for 3 years. Those two are rock stars. This audit was accomplished by them. And I'd just like to take a short moment to provide you with some data points of the fiscal 24 audit. The audit schedule request required a total of 113 tasks to be provided to the external auditors to review. Within each task are numerous subtasks. So for instance, prepare audit confirmations is comprised of 20 bank reconciliations, 2 investment confirmations, 3 note payable confirmations, 4 attorney letters, and 1 State of Hawaii DAGS confirmation. Number 2, prior to the audit, over 90% of these tasks were completed. That means that on our kickoff meeting on January 10th, 2025, immediately afterwards, over 100 audit schedules were uploaded to the N&K portal. Number 3, after the completed schedules are provided to our external auditors, additional work is required to respond to audit questions. So these questions could take the form of explanations, additional source documents, and additional sample selections. The fiscal 24 audit directory on Teams contains over 1,000 files and 131 folders. And last but not least, they completed the 24 audit in 9 weeks, which normally takes 4 months to complete.
Wow.
So if we could all just give them like a thumbs up to these rock stars.
Wow, that is
And-
amazing.
And to Ryan Lee and Everett Ota for their assistance on the investment footnote and narrative sections of the report. Mahalo. So I'm going to pass this over to Charles, and he can start off with his introductions and then the presentation of the audit.
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much, Ramona. I'm blushing now. Okay, so I guess, I don't know if you can pull up our slides. Okay, perfect. Okay, so as Ramona said, you know, we were conducted to do the audit for fiscal year 2024. Previously, we did the audit, I believe, from 2016 through 2022. The audit went to another firm for 1 year, and then we are now doing your folks' audit once again. I'm very happy to be working with Ramona and her team once again. Thank you to Ryan and to Everett for all of their help, and then, like Ramona said, especially to Wayne and Sylvie and RGP. So we're going to cover at a very high level the results of our audit and a few things like that. So if you could move forward with the presentation, please. So pictures of us. So okay, real quick, Charles Gooden, Taylor Maury. I'm the principal on the job. I'll be the one signing the report. Taylor is a senior manager with us. As far as the agenda goes, we're going to cover the summary of auditors' results, basically any findings that we've had, the condensed financial statement information of OHA. Then we have some required communications with those charged with governance to you folks. And then lastly, we'll finish up with upcoming accounting pronouncements that will be impacting OHA in future years. So as far as the summary of auditors' results, if you could please move forward 2 slides. Okay, so starting off with the financial statements. So we will be issuing unmodified opinions on the report on the audit of the financial statements. I say unmodified opinions because we're issuing multiple opinions for OHA. So the opinions that we'll be issuing are related to the governmental activities, which is OHA by itself, the business type activities, which is Hi'ile, the LLC under OHA, and then each major fund of OHA. So it's the general fund, the public land trust fund, the federal fund, and then the other non-major funds. So 4 funds individually, and then the aggregate remaining fund information. I'd also like to call attention to the audit of Hi'ipaka LLC, which is conducted by another auditor. Hi'ipaka comprises approximately 100% of Hi'ilei's assets, net position, and revenue. And we did not perform audit procedures over the balances of Hi'ipaka because they were audited by another auditor. Our report also covers the required supplementary information, which is which is MD&A and budgetary comparison schedules, and then also the pension and OPEB schedules. In our report, there's also sections related to management's responsibilities for the financial statements, our responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements. And so if there's any questions on any of those things, I can definitely take those questions, but if not, then I'll kind of continue with this. As far as, I'm sorry, you can kind of stay on that slide, I'm sorry. Okay, as far as internal control over financial reporting and on compliance, and then also the federal awards in accordance with uniform guidance. So as it was kind of mentioned, we are issuing two separate reports. One is just over the financial statements of OHA. The second is the single audit report. The single audit report covers both internal controls over financial reporting and compliance, and then compliance with the major federal programs of OHA, along with the financial statements of the Native Hawaiian Revolving Loan Fund. For the internal controls over financial reporting and compliance, we did not have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies identified. And then as far as the federal awards in accordance with uniform guidance, we also had no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies identified during our audit. The major federal program that we tested is Assistance Listing Number 93612, Native American Programs, and that's for the loan fund. Okay, I guess if you can continue to the condensed. Okay, before I go any further, any questions on anything I just covered? Perfect. Oh, yes.
Trustee Akina?
Thank you. You mentioned that you did not audit Hi'ipaka LLC, and you made a statement that it contains 100% Hi'ilei funds. Can you elaborate on the relationship between Hi'ilei and Hi'ipaka, and tell us who did the auditing and
Sure.
what level of confidence we can have about
So Hi'ilei is basically the parent organization of Hi'ipaka. I believe Hi'ipaka is a single member LLC, of which Hi'ilei is the single member. James Hasselman, which is a sole proprietor, he did the audit of Hi'ipaka. And he has done that audit for several years. And I'm sorry, what was your other question?
That's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Do we need any further look into that, or is it sufficient for us to note that a third-party auditor has audited Hi'ilei?
I feel that, because Hi'ipaka is getting an independent audit by James Hasselman. And Hi'ipaka is basically Waimea Valley and the whole operations there, right? But so because he has been doing that audit now for several years, I think that should cover any of the things that we need as far as the OHA audit goes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. To recognize Kai Kahele.
Hey, thanks, Chair. I was gonna wait to ask the question, but since Trustee Akina brought it up, I guess I'll piggyback on kind of his line of questioning, and it's as you represented, the Hi'ipaka LLC represents 100% of the business type activity that is being audited by a separate auditor. And so I just want to make sure that your firm thinks that the reliability of their findings is adequate for OHA, and that we're executing the appropriate oversight in terms of our financial integrity and alignment with our fiduciary responsibilities. Do you believe that OHA is exercising adequate oversight, since it is not a body of work that your firm is working on, and it's someone else's, and we're essentially relying on another auditor's work over, substantial financial activity that is under OHA's governance over one of its subsidiaries?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So part of what we do as the independent auditor for OHA is this is technically considered a group audit. And so we provide group audit instructions to James Hasselman. We get a representation from him, and then we also do some background information, checking his professional competence, whether or not he has been peer reviewed, all of those things, right? So we basically hold him to the same standards that we would be held to. And so because we do all of those things, we are comfortable with his findings over, in completing his audit of Hiipaka.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Ramona.
James Hasselman is also or was also a partner at PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and so technically, I believe that he's very competent.
Okay. Chair, would you mind if I ask one more question since it was
Sure, go
covered?
ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead, Kai.
I guess this is in terms of the internal controls that you had just mentioned. Given that in a previous finding in 23 that OHA was highlighted for having internal control deficiencies, especially as it relates to the federal SAM program, can the administration clarify what specific changes were implemented to resolve this issue, since in your audit's findings, there were no issues over internal control over compliance? Basically, what changed? What did we do differently?
I think the findings from the NARF audit review was that we were not looked for the procurement process. There was another federal website that we should have looked up these vendors, but we hadn't done that, and that was something new that the auditors did bring up in the fiscal 23 audit. But we do get Hawaii clearance and business registration and vendor clearance in Hawaii. And so we thought that that would be sufficient. We did not know about the other website that we should have checked for the vendors. So immediately upon that finding, we looked up all the vendors that we use for all the federal funds, and they were in compliance, or they weren't red flagged. And so we continue to do that now with every new vendor for our federal funds.
Okay, so the new process, the current approach can provide sufficient assurance to the board that federal funds are not being awarded to, suspended or disbarred entities that are doing work for OHA.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mahalo, Chair.
Great, mahalo.
Okay, thank you. If you could continue forward one slide, please. Okay, sorry, this is too small, so hopefully you guys everyone has glasses on or has good eyes. Okay, so the first one is going to be the statement of net position. So this is going to be showing for both fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 23 the major components of the statement of net position for the governmental activities, the business type activities, which I mentioned is Hi'ile, and then the total. I just want to kind of focus more so on the governmental activities, just because those are the activities of OHA, right? So kind of working our way down, cash, there was a nearly $10 million decrease in cash from year to year. Changes in cash are going to be based on changes in all the other financial statement line items. So there's not one particular reason that cash is going to increase or decrease, right? The next one is going to be investments. So investments is going to be the major thing on the statement of net position for OHA. Investments increased nearly 68 million from year to year, went from 532 million to over 600 million at the end of June 2024. This is primarily due to the interest and investment earnings of approximately 68 million during the year. The investments are comprised of the Native Hawaiian Trust Fund and the Native Hawaiian Revolving Loan Fund. The trust fund has approximately 587 million in investments. The loan fund had approximately 13.6 million in investments. As far as liabilities go, liabilities stayed relatively stable from year to year. There was no new debt issued in the current year. Liabilities also include the net pension and net OPEB liabilities. Those also stayed relatively stable from year to year. And then the big thing is net position overall increased from 721 million to over 778 million, an increase of about 58 million from year to year. Any questions on just the statement of net position? If not, I'll move forward to the statement of activity. Okay. And so similarly, I want to focus only on the governmental activities, just so that we're focusing on OHA, not Hi'ile. So as revenues go, so all of the revenues here listed, right? We have charges for services. That's generally going to be for rental income, operating grants and contributions, interest and investment earnings. As we mentioned, that's honestly the really big one in the current year. The public land trust revenue is the consistent 21.5 million for both current year and prior year. The state allotments, this is the money coming in through the general fund. And then capital contributions is really just a business type activity thing. And then the unrestricted contributions. And so overall revenues increased from 73.8 million to 100.3 million in fiscal year 24. And the big thing really being that the interest and investment earnings increased year over year from 38.3 million in 2023 to 68.3 million in 2024. And really that has a lot to just do with global markets, you know, performing very well once again during fiscal year 24. Obviously, Ryan is doing a very good job managing the investments. So good job, Ryan. As far as expenses go, right, expenses stayed also stable, 45.9 million in the current year versus 43.8 million in the prior year. Honestly, nothing really significant change from year to year as far as the investment goes. And then overall, the change in that position, it did increase by 27.9 million from 30 million in the prior year to 57.9 million in the current year. And, you know, kind of just hammering home that the major thing is just the investment earnings during the year. Yeah. Okay. And then now Taylor will be covering our, oh, good. Any questions on anything I covered? If not, then we can pass the mic to Taylor. Okay, perfect.
All right. Can you move forward one slide, please? All right, so these are the required communications that we need to make to the board and those charged with governance. So I'll go through these slides. A lot of them are fairly boilerplate, but if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know at any point. So our audit or our responsibility under GAS government auditing standards and the UG is to express an opinion about the financial statements to ensure that they are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with US GAAP. For significant audit matters, if you look at the financial statements, we have them listed out in Note B in detail, and we did not find any issues with the policies or practices of these accounting matters at OHA in fiscal year FY24. For qualitative aspects of our accounting practices, there were no transactions that were entered into in FY24 that there was a lack of authoritative guidance or where significant estimates or judgment were required. And all significant transactions or all large transactions that did occur during the year were recognized appropriately in the financial statements in the correct period. Next slide, please. So in the financial statements, we have 3 accounting estimates that we deem significant or sensitive to, potential estimates or management bias. Those are the fair value measurement of investments. These are primarily related to the net asset value investments. So investments that are not necessarily level one investments, which we performed extensive procedures over, the proportionate share of net pension and OPEB liabilities, and then lease receivables and the related deferred inflow of resources. For all of these procedures, whenever we call out significant accounting estimates or things of that nature, we spend more time and perform extended procedures over these types of estimates just due to the nature and the risk of these estimates, and we had no findings related to these in the current audit period. Regarding difficulties encountered in performing the audit, we are pleased to, report that there were no difficulties. As Mona and Charles said, the team was very responsive, very helpful in all matters that we encountered, and it helped us get the audit through very quickly in a very timely fashion. So could not be more pleased with that. Next slide, please. In terms of corrected and uncorrected misstatements, there were none noted. We also had no disagreements with management. And in terms of representation, we will send over a standard letter of management representation to management at the conclusion of the audit. Oh. Okay. And then, in terms of consultation with other independent accountants, there were none. So we can stay on the slide. Thank you. So for other audit findings or issues, there are no documented findings. Anytime we encountered issues or had questions throughout the audit, we discussed them directly with Wayne, Mona, Sylvie, anyone who could help us address the answers and who could get us the correct supporting documentation. And so we did not find any issues as a result of that. For other matters, the required supplementary information that Charles mentioned, we made certain inquiries of management related to the supplementary information. But based off of our inquiries, the procedures performed over the financial statements and the other knowledge that we have over the organization, we do not think that there are any issues with this information. However, we do not express an opinion on the other required supplementary information as noted in our opinion, which is pretty standard. Moving on to the next slide, a continuation of other matters. We also did report on the CFA and the Native Hawaiian Revolving Loan Fund financial statements that accompany the financial statements. I do want to call it, these are not the RSIs or the required supplementary information. And as such, these were audited and we expressed an opinion and have provided an opinion on those statements in the financial statements. For these financial statements, we did not find any issues with any of the procedures. And as I think Charles mentioned, they were unqualified. So no issues there. We were not engaged to report on the letter from the CEO, which does accompany the financial statements in the first half of it, if you read through it. But we do look at it for internal consistency and to make sure that it's reasonable as part of our review of the financials. Any questions on anything that I covered for the required information? Okay, thank you. I will pass it
Thank you
back
very
to
much.
Charles.
Okay, so the last thing I'm going to cover is just upcoming accounting pronouncements. Okay, so there are 4 upcoming pronouncements that are disclosed in the financial statements. The first 2, GASB 101 and 102, are effective for fiscal year 25. So they are effective for this current fiscal year, and then 103 and 104 are going to be effective for fiscal year 26. So GASB 101, compensated absences. This one is basically the organization is going to have to recognize a financial obligation for leave when earned instead of when used or paid. And so the thing that's going to impact OHA is related to sick leave. Sick leave right now is only disclosed in the notes to the financial statements. And I believe the balance for fiscal year 24 was about 2.67 million. In fiscal year 23, it was 2.66 million. So it's gone up a little bit, but that amount is actually going to have to be recorded on the statement of net position moving forward. And so in fiscal year 25, that'll be a big change that has to be recorded. I mean, honestly, the 2.6 million, you know, for OHA, that, you know, for any organization, that's a big amount, but for OHA, that's not going to be a significant amount for the financial statements themselves. Correct. Similar to compensated absences right now. So that's for like vacation. Yeah. GASB 102 is called certain risk disclosures. And so this one is governments are required to disclose certain risks if they are known and could have a significant financial impact. This is both related to concentrations for like customers, suppliers, employers, sources of revenue, or geographic area or industry, and then also constraints. And these are like legal restrictions, contractual agreements, or regulatory limits. And so if there are either concentrations or constraints that are identified to be significant and will have a significant impact on OHA, these are things that are going to have to be disclosed in the financial statements moving forward. If you can move forward to the next slide, please. So GASB 103 is financial reporting model improvements. And so as I mentioned, 103 and 104 are going to be effective for fiscal year 26. So 103 is to enhance effectiveness in providing information that is essential for decision-making and assessing a government's accountability. Honestly, the one big change here is going to be related to unusual or infrequent items. And so basically transactions or other events that are either unusual in nature or infrequent in occurrence need to be disclosed in the financial statements. And then if the inflows or outflows of resources is known, then those are going to be separately displayed on the statement of activities. And then the last one, GASB 104, disclosure of certain capital assets. What this is doing is all of the right of use assets from leases, intangibles for SBITAs, which is the subscription-based information technology arrangements, and then other intangibles related to public-private and public-public partnerships need to be separated in the notes to the financial statements when presenting capital assets. Actually, OHA already does that with their lease assets, and OHA doesn't have any of the other ones that I had just mentioned. So it's just the lease assets because those are the ones that met the threshold for recognition from the state.
Stacy?
Could you give examples for GASB 103? What would be considered unusual, or do you provide OHA with a list of what unusual transactions or movement would be?
I guess, you know, those would generally be things that occur outside the normal course of business, right? And so if, let's say if there was some kind of disaster that impacted OHA directly, or, you know, actually, honestly, thinking back on transactions that happened in the past, one of the big ones that happened is generally the public land trust revenue prior to maybe a couple of fiscal years ago was a flat 15.1 million, correct? And then in 1 year, you got 64 million, right? To kind of catch up. Right? That 64 million would probably be a infrequent item, right? Yeah. Okay. Those are the upcoming pronouncements that are going to be affecting OHA in the next couple of years. You know, we will work closely with Ramona and her team, especially for fiscal year 25, related to the compensated absences, right? That's going to be the big one affecting all the state agencies. But, you know, as far as all of these go, you know, we will work closely with them to make sure that any impact on the financial statements is done properly. That kind of concludes all of our slides. And so at this point, it's just, are there any questions that anyone has related to anything we covered related to the audit?
Excuse me, Chair. We have a request from Trustee Akaka. She's not able to hear, so if you could speak a lot closer to the mic, whoever's speaking.
Mahalo. Yes, go ahead, Ramona.
Mahalo, Charles and Taylor. I missed you last year, Charles, at audit. And I'm so happy and grateful to have you back. We could not have completed the audit in 9 weeks without you both. And I'm so grateful and blessed to have every one of you on the team and a great partnership with RGP and N&K to complete this audit. Mahalo.
Do we have any testifiers on this item? This action item B? Oh, hi. Okay, let's move to
No
make a motion,
testifiers.
please.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like to move to approve the report of independent third-party auditors, N&K CPAs, regarding the annual financial statements of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs report and the Single Audit Report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, conducted in accordance with government audit standards and uniform guidance.
Second.
Second that?
Keone.
Okay, mahalo, Keone. All right, is there any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Aquino,
Aye.
Trustee Kahele,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay,
Aye.
Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Vice Chair Wahe,
Yes.
and Chair Lapa.
Yes,
Motion passes.
mahalo. All right, let's move on to our next item, action item C. Before I read that, do we have any testifiers for this item C?
Yes, we have one testifier online.
Okay, let me read this action item first. We'll call upon our testifier afterwards. So for action item BF number 25-20, it's approval of OHA's funding for a Hoa Koakua Lahui event sponsorship to the Ulu IA Learning Center for the 2025 Kupu'ola Hula Festival on April 6, 20. Oh, let's hold on. We're going to take a break. We had a little accident here. Ramona, you okay? Oh, okay. So we had a little accident here. Sorry, you guys. So, we're going to read that again. Okay, we're going to start all over on that. Okay, because we didn't get a chance to finish it. But I see that she's okay. She had a little small kind of accident over there. All right, so I'm going to move on to read once more the action item C, BF number 25-20, approval of OHA funding for a Koakua Lahui event sponsorship to Ulua'e Learning Center for the 2025 Kupu'ola Hula Festival on April 6, 2025, in the amount of $2,500. We have our testifier, please.
Aloha, aloha nui, chair, vice chair, members of the committee. Congratulations on a successful audit. It's so wonderful to hear, so pleasing. Mahalo for all the hard work on that. I'm Mikiala Lidstone, Executive Director of the Ulua'e Learning Center. We're based in Kapolei on the island of Oahu, and we care for a historic traditional cultural property called Pu'uo Kapolei. It's actually from this hill, Pu'uo Kapolei, that the entire city of Kapolei gets its name. In 2006, the Kapolei Hawaiian Civic Club, under the guidance of Uncle John Ka'imikaua and Auntie Aga Kalama, built a hula mound, and they grew a garden at Pu'uo Kapolei. A decade later, in 2016, the Civic Club transferred stewardship of this special place to us, Ulua'e Learning Center. I've always known that Uncle John Ka'imikaua and Auntie Aga Kalama envisioned the hula as a living space for hula, with an annual festival to celebrate the innovation and vitality of our cultural practices. And it's from their vision that the Kapu'ola Hula Festival was born. This year marks our 5th festival. It'll take place in about a week and a half on Sunday, April 6th from 3 to 7 p.m. The event will start with a series of free cultural workshops from lei making to pu'ohe making to a mele workshop, lauhala weaving, and more. After the workshops, performances will begin with halau hula, with the festival culminating in a special musical performance by our friends, A-Nei. The Kapu'ola Hula Festival is a celebration of mele and hula, and it's so much more. It's also a testament to the dedication of over 300 volunteers who return each year to care for Pu'u Kapolei. And your support makes this possible, enriching our kaiaulu and honoring the legacy of Uncle John, Ka'imiko, and Auntie Olga Kalama, 2 pillars of our Native Hawaiian communities. We're deeply, deeply grateful for the recommendation for sponsorship and for this opportunity to share. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui for that. We appreciate you. That's your Ohai on this action item.
No more testifiers on this item.
Madam
ahead.
Chair, I'd like to move to approve OHA funding for a Hoa Koa Koa Lahui event sponsorship to Ulu Ae Learning Center for the 2025 Kupu Uola Hula Festival on April 6, 2025 in the amount of $2,500.
Second.
Mahalo. And call for discussion. All right, seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Chair Lapa, I had a question.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead and go ahead, Kai Kahele, please.
I guess this question is for our kapuhana. Which program category is this coming out of under the budget authorization?
So this would be grants, specifically sponsorships.
So under the, I guess it's number 7. Is this what the total available funds would be remaining after this sponsorship is allocated? The 28,421? Or approximately?
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess my second question is, we've talked about having OHA have a stronger presence at these events, especially as it relates to capturing, registry information and whatnot. And I see under item B that there is availability for an OHA information table. Is administration planning to staff an information table at this event?
Chair, I'm going to have to follow up with Ilima to see what arrangements have been made. I will get back to the board.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. Those are my 2 questions.
Mahalo. Any more discussion? All right, let's proceed.
sorry. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Vice Chair Wahe.
Yes.
Chair Lapa.
Yes.
Just to confirm, Trustee Lindsay, that's aye. Okay, motion passes.
All right. We got you, Trustee Hulu. Mahalo. All right, we're going to move on to our last item, action item D. Do we have any testifiers for this item?
Yes, we have 1 testifier.
Okay. All right, I'll read the action item. D, action item BF-25-21 is the approval of OHA funding for a Hoa Koa Koa Lahui event sponsorship to Hawaii Rise Foundation for the 2025 Mele Manaka 3-day community event on April 25th, April 2025 to April 26, 2025 in the amount of $9,450.
Aloha mai kākou, everyone. Thank you so much
Aloha.
for allowing us to testify today. So exciting. My name is Briani Kobayashi, and I am the president for Hawaii Rise Foundation. Our mission at Hawaii Rise Foundation is to create meaningful opportunities for our vulnerable and low-income families by providing programs, services, and support. So typically throughout the year, we provide free workshops such as resume building, financial wellness, free CPR, first aid workshops, and more. All of our workshops have never cost anything. They've been free for as long as we've operated since 2017. But one of our most cherished events takes place every year when we host a community event. The last 3 years, we've decided to take this event and make it a part of Merry Monarch Week, a time that beautifully showcases Hawaiian culture. And so this year we are putting on our 3-day community event. Luckily, the County of Hawaii has supported us the last 3 years, so we're able to close down the entire road of Banyan Way. And we have over 60 local vendors that are able to come and share their products. We are the only event that does not charge vendors to have a spot. So typically vendors spend anywhere between $500 to $2,000 a day, and it's really difficult for them to sell their products, especially when they're selling maybe just some baked goods or keychains. And so our community event is free to the public, but also free to any vendor who wants to sell their local products. As I mentioned, it will include over 60 native Hawaiian and local vendors. The event will also include live entertainment. This year we have Kalani Pe'a performing, we have 2 halaus that are performing, and we have people coming from all over the islands to perform, and they actually are not charging us. They're just doing it to promote what we're doing. We're really excited to have this event also include different cultural workshops for the attendees to participate in all 3 days, which include lei making, lauhala weaving, pa'iai, poi pounding, mural making, hula, and coconut hat weaving. During Merry Monarch, there's just an abundance of beautiful things that are promoting Hawaiian culture, and all of our community members are just so talented. So all of the workshops are taught by native Hawaiian keiki and kupuna. The youngest keiki who teaches coconut hat weaving, 14 years old, and our oldest kupuna is 86 years old. So we have a wide variety of keiki and kupuna teaching these workshops, and like I said, they're free to anyone to attend. We also have a few schools that come and do excursions on the Thursday and Friday. So we have over 150 keiki who will be there on Thursday and Friday, and expecting over around 6,000 attendees. The event will also be covered daily by Hawaii News Now, who will be documenting and filming the event. And the coverage will also be featuring different native Hawaiian businesses who are sharing their missions and goals for the week. So the purpose of our event is really just to connect our community and to bring people together to immerse in Hawaiian language, culture, music, and the arts, and to give a chance for local businesses to share their products who may not have the financial means necessary to pay for a booth space at other craft fairs. Like I mentioned, we don't charge vendors, we don't charge any businesses or any attendees to participate. The goal is to keep this free and complimentary. OHA would be helping to support us purchasing tables and chairs for the event, our tent space, the sound system, and that's really it. We were also funded by Atherton Foundation this last week, so we're really excited for that opportunity. But we hope that OHA will support us and creating this magical 3-day experience rooted in native Hawaiian culture and aloha. Mahalo. I didn't know I was being timed, but mahalo.
No, mahalo. Thank you so much. Wow. Sounds really exciting. I can't wait. And congratulations to you folks for putting on this incredible event. At this time, do we have any more testifiers on this item?
No more testifiers.
Right, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move to approve OHA funding for a Ho'akoakoa Lahui event sponsorship to Hawaii Rise Foundation for the 2025 Mele Manaka 3-day community event on April 24th, 2025 to April 26th, 2025 in the amount of $9,450.
So moved. Second.
Seconded by Trustee Souza. Any discussion? Any more discussion on this item? Oh, I see you, Kai. Go ahead, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. Same question for our couple, Hana, in terms of participation. And since Briani is on, hey, hi, Briani. We're really trying to, at OHA, engage our beneficiaries and our lahui. And one of those things is through our Native Hawaiian Registry program. Is there any opportunity at the event for OHA to have a table or some type of presence, if we were able to staff that to be able to connect with beneficiaries there?
Yes, of course. A few years ago, before we were a nonprofit, we used to just call it a Keaukaha Community Day, and OHA was a supportive of that. I think it was an Ahu Nui grant or something, and OHA came and actually spoke, and it was really well received by the Keaukaha community. We would love to have OHA there to have a booth. That would be wonderful. If there's any opportunity, please keep us informed. I think Hawaii Visitors Bureau and Hawaii Visitors Bureau and another HTA might come as well.
Okay, great. Well, I guess that's for our Kapuhana to check with the rest of our admin. I know, we'll have staff there for Mary Monarch Week, at least those coming in for some of our OHA events. So there's a way for us to participate. That's it's a great opportunity for us to showcase Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Yes. Mahalo OHA for all you do. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Kapuhana.
Mahalo, Chair Kahele, for the question. So Ilima did confirm that we will have presence at the Hula Festival in Kapolei, and they will be taking paper applications there so that they can sign our beneficiaries up at the event. And we will follow up with the Hilo one because we'll need to have a similar arrangement for that event.
Yes, and we do have Hawaii News Now doing a daily broadcast showcasing the halau, showcasing the sponsors. So if OHA was there and wanted to speak about supporting the event, that's another opportunity as well. They're giving us 5 live segment days.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to be part of one of those 5 days. If you give us a time, when, I'm sure.
Yep.
Not myself can
Any
be
day you want,
there.
any day you want, 2:30 p.m. in the lobby.
Okay, great. Okay, well, we'll follow up. Thank you.
Okay. Mahalo.
Any more discussion, trustees? Go ahead, Trustee Akaka.
Mahalo. This question is for administration, and mahalo, Brianni, for all the amazing work you folks are doing for our Native Hawaiian community. Are we planning to have our registration card maker at this event? Or
So Ilima's they're taking paper applications to have folks register with that. So we have 2 machines right now. So certainly the one in Hilo, I can talk to her because if we do take one to Hilo, it'll have to be shipped there. But her response to me was that they're taking paper applications.
okay. I would be more interested if it's possible that the actual machine can be present during the event so that they can be made readily available if that's possible. I don't know what the turnaround process would be.
Yeah, it requires like birth certificate and other documentation that folks at the Hula Festival or just out shopping may not necessarily have with them, but certainly starting the application and then having a follow-up with our team is definitely doable. But I'll check with Ilima
Thank you.
on the machines.
Okay, mahalo. Any more discussion, trustees? All right, seeing none. You have a motion to approve? Oh, we did. Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina. Trustee Kahele.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Still on.
Aye.
Trustee Souza. Oh, he came on. Vice Chair Wahe.
Yes.
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Again, Trustee Souza. Chair Lapa. Yes. Motion
Yes.
passes. Mahalo. At this time, we are now at our last item, adjournment. Give a motion
I
to
move
adjourn.
move to adjourn, Madam Chair.
You're a second?
Second.
Thank you. With no objections, this meeting is now adjourned.
Wait.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry, roll call, roll call. I just like get out.
sorry, new rules.
Sorry, I let go out. Go ahead.
Trustee
roll call,
Ahuna.
please, sorry.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Aquino.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza. Vice Chair Wahe.
Yes.
Chair Lapa.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we are adjourned. Have a good holiday tomorrow, everyone. We'll see you Thursday.